Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to OSU World Cup 2025 group stage with a banger match awaiting us, Turkey versus Belgium. I am Lighting, and I'm probably going to be joined in by Chillier Player relatively soon, but for now, Turkey versus Belgium, a match in the lower groups. So those who get number 3 or 4 in this groups gets eliminated. Those who get number 1 and 2 advance further into the round of 16. And this match in particular does seem to be quite fascinating due to the fact that Turkey, obviously having a goated player, Raikaho, are looking like the obvious favorites, but still Belgium, they have a really solid roster for most of the skill sets, and they can definitely play this star rating of 6.7 really well. The star rating is low, so definitely a lot of opportunities to try and find against Turkey. If you take a look at the qualifier results, for example, Turkey, they did better than Belgium in a lot of maps, but the only difference is the fact that Belgium did better on their Nomad 3, getting a much better seed on Nomad 3 as well. Welcome, Chillier. I've been just talking about how which maps Turkey seems comfortable on, which maps Belgium seems comfortable on. What do you think we are going to await today, Chillier?
You know, I'm not entirely sure how this group is going to sort of settle in, because this was sort of, I think, one of the wild cards where this is the first match we're actually going to be seeing from any of these 4 teams here. Belgium, of course, their first time sort of settling through. And did we actually... No, we didn't see anything.
We did have a match from Belgium. They did play against Argentina yesterday. Yes, they did play against Argentina. And something that I wanted to note about Argentina, not that match in particular, is that Belgium did really good on Nomad 3 with one of the players FCing the map, and I think the key for Belgium is to try and play low AR and possibly something like alternate. Like, I'm looking at that Hidden 1, I'm looking at that HR2. Those seem like good possibilities, but other than that, we already have a few bans coming in, a Nomad 5 ban from Turkey and a DT2 ban from Belgium, not wanting to play that speed map, as we are now going to be awaiting the first pick from Turkey.
Looking at these 2 rosters here, I think we've got to sort of call into question just how this match is going to go through, with Turkey being a fairly veteran roster to the World Cups comparatively to Belgium. Their first time qualifying into any stage of this tournament. The match against Argentina was a little bit rough for Belgium on the side of things, just really not looking as confident on their skill sets traditionally as what their players are sort of leading on. You know, they looked really good across the board on the flow aim picks, which I think is kind of funny because Honori would be really mad at me for calling them a flow aim favored team. But I really think that, you know, that was something that worked pretty well for them, as well as Chocolate Disco, which was a pretty close map against Argentina. They did have a bit of a solo carry performance from MRD on a map like that. But looking at these faster picks here, Turkey really just does have an advantage on this side of things. They've got a proficient speed roster. Their mechanics roster really holds up well in World Cups traditionally. And I think that's going to give them a pretty confident in for this match here as an opening pick as they sort of go through. And Belgium knows this too. They banned out that DT2, that Nomad 5 gone from the side of Turkey, so really not looking for that precision to make an appearance again with Belgium here. That doesn't necessarily mean, however, that the rest of the Hard Rock pool is available for them with Turkey's proficiency across the board here. This is definitely going to be the uphill battle for Belgium, and I think this first pick is going to be pretty evident who is going to be more comfortable on these mechanic skill sets, which don't exist as frequently in this format.
That is true. This Nomad 2 in particular is going to be a map to look out for. Belgium did play it against Argentina, with Hexy fighting an FC, but Merriman also not getting the best score last time, hovering about that 200,000, and we do see him on the lineup, and I guess we will be trying to see whether he can replicate the score. I'm talking about Hexy here, and to try and improve that one for Merriman. And with that, we are going to be starting off with this Nomad 2 a roll pan custom, 2 minutes and 19 seconds long, 230 BPM, focusing on that speed mechanics, as yeah, we are going to be starting off soon.
Very soon, players getting ready on here. Very burst heavy map, but that's not to say that this is a mechanics player favored map only. This map is almost techie with the way that these super fast slider aim patterns sort of come through, and I think that does sort of vibe check a lot of your pure mechanics players who are just here to play tapping. That is a major skill set and a point in this map, especially being at 230 BPM, but at 2 minutes and 19 seconds with so much of this being these fast aim sliders that you're seeing now does mean that you need to call into control your aim here, and that's something that Belgium is very good at traditionally, and I'm hoping for their sake that that's going to help them maybe keep this map a little bit close alongside the strong tapping roster from Turkey. We do see two big breaks from both sides, Merriman and Clutch to find the first major misses. We'll call Gian Foil's miss a little bit null and void as it was only about 60 combo in. But these future misses are what's going to make the difference. And Honori finding a break on one of those sliders is what we've seen traditionally on this map. These aim patterns on these fast snap sliders are what catch players off guard.
Exactly, Honori does hold the good accuracy, but those aim sliders are not letting them to hold the combo, but still 3 FCs against 2, with the Turkey a clear favorite here. Raikaho still on the SS, the player to look out for as he is the star of that roster. If you want 4th slider patterns over here, nothing too crazy yet, but still already a huge advantage for Turkey, and we're only about halfway in. There's going to be a little tricky slider on the 3rd quarter of the map of Merriman. Another break here, not helping the situation for Belgium yet again. But still already better score than last time, but Turkey is just not even ready to miss at all.
Halfway point of the map. Turkey holding strong combos at the very least on Raikaho, and Liar going to be holding the FCs intact. Gian Foil just a tiny bit behind Clutch with a great recovery from that initial miss. It's Hexy and Mornis for Belgium. And they're going to need a little bit more support from at least one of those two with breaks here. Honori has found that recovery, which means that all is not completely lost if we see a break from Turkey. The unfortunate part meaning we need to either see breaks from both of the supporting combos on the side of Turkey or one of these full combos. And even then, this map starts to whittle down. Clutch does find a break. These accuracies on Belgium are just doing so much damage as Merriman finds yet another miss on that pattern. 93% accuracy. Honori, while maintaining the combo, is down at 95. Meanwhile, Raikaho up at 100% accuracy. Liar and a double miss from Belgium is going to secure Turkey their first pick.
Exactly, and all eyes are on Raikaho. Look at that accuracy. Can he maintain the assist up until the very end of the map? Gaehan Fold does find a miss with Mornis as well, but Raikaho closes out this Nomad 2 with an SS. What a way to start the map. What a way to put out a statement and say, I am here to put up a performance, and that Nomad 2 is a great way to start that. A nice pick from Turkey, as it's now going to be Belgium's turn to pick as well. Good FC from Hexy, replicating that result too, with only 4 X100s. A really good score from them, but sadly outshined by the star player from Turkey.
And that's sort of the gambit that Turkey has here, right? Where you've got Raikaho, who is able to put up these SSs and confident performances on maps, and it really just depends on whether or not Turkey has the backing necessary, and they do on these speed and mechanics picks. And now what Belgium needs to navigate is the fact that they maybe don't have a star player like Raikaho, so how can they use their whole roster to their advantage? They were able to do it on the reading map against Argentina, as well as that precision, which is now gone in this match. Turkey has that information with Belgium having played one match already. Meanwhile, Belgium's sort of going into this blind. They really just have Turkey's previous OWC performances to take into account here. And if you're not able to match up the skill sets on that side, it is going to be pretty difficult to find an in this match, especially just, you know, the nature of being one of those lower seeded teams within this group. The qualifier is not a direct translation, but definitely something that is going to prove difficult against a seasoned team of veterans who are used to this environment.
Exactly, and if anything I have to say about this map, obviously it being a Newton reading map, AR7, Belgium did already play against Argentina, as you have mentioned prior, with MRB being the cornerstone of this map, getting an FC with 99.6% accuracy, about 900,000 score, looking to secure that point for Belgium once again, to replicate that result, to do great once again as Turkey. I'm supposing they are still waiting for Orkai to join in to finish up that lineup, but in general, this Newton map does, on paper, favor Turkey still. They did do a lot better on Hidden 2 than Belgium did on their qualifiers run. However, this map is a whole different beast. This is a whole different skill set of reading, and the map being a lot easier than that of the Hidden 2 on qualifiers, Belgium do have a pretty good chance to compete in here, and all eyes are gonna lie on MRB. Definitely a lot of pressure on that player, as it's gonna be the reading specialist for Belgium, and Turkey probably gonna have to go without their star player Raikaho on this one.
That's something that Belgium is well known to take into account. You know, despite not being the seasoned World Cup team as their first time making it into a stream stage of the tournament, that is not to say that these players on Belgium are short of tournament experience, especially between all their players, even their captain players like Yoshi, Hanori, Vinny, Emmer, all of these players in the lobby, including the rest of their roster, have years of tournament experience, decades, in fact, in the cases of some of them coming into here. And it is a big point that even though they're maybe not used to the World Cup environment, they are going to be comfortable in navigating these early picks and going through the strategy of how you deal with a star player like Raikaho. And the number one way that you do that is you remove their number one skill set and you put their entire team on something they're not comfortable on, hoping that your team is just strong enough on it to sort of shut out the rest of their roster. That remains to be seen in the first couple seconds of this pick here, having being the low AR that Belgium is so strong at. They're going to need that roster to sort of step up, because Turkey, while a mechanics favored team, is not terrible at this sort of map, and these early breaks are going to be what show us that, as the accuracy sitting a little bit lower on Hanori than I feel like I would like to see.
Still, just the start to this map. The map still has a long way to go. 3 minutes and 41 seconds long exactly. So a lot of room for maneuvers, a lot of room for misses, as all of the teams are looking good so far. Yes, Hanori's accuracy is not looking that good, but it's still recovering slightly as Turkey retains that early advantage. Looking comfortable so far. All players holding up to that 99% accuracy, with the only exception of Orkai of about 98.5%. But still, a slight recovery from Hanori does shrink that lead that Turkey has, as we are now going to be transitioning into the first PI relatively soon.
We shall see the remainder of the pick here. I think that this is staying as close as you basically can ask for it to, with the four-way full combo on both sides. And again, it's just that accuracy that's really doing the damage for Belgium right now, which can sometimes be a signal of not being confident on a map, but there are plenty of double patterns in here and overlaps that could catch someone off guard, where that accuracy, while a concern if the 8-way FC remains, is not going to be a problem the second a miss comes out, especially as we approach the halfway point in the map. And there are players on both sides that do have good accuracy that are going to be able to support the players who are struggling a little bit more. Right now, really just Hanori down at that 94%, but still maintaining the full combo is what you want to see. Spray and Vinny do trade it out, but MRB with an extra break from Belgium is not what they want to see, however. And Turkey now takes the lead, 3 FCs to only 1 now. Lowest accuracy on the team be damned. Hanori is going to be the full combo that maybe tries to hold them up if we see more breaks from Turkey.
1 against B into the second KI now. It all looked so well for Belgium here, but Lear does find him as an opportunity for them, but still 2 FCs against 1. Another miss from Lear, not the miss from Shinkuro nor Orkai that they might want to see, as Hanori continues to hold on to that FC. Still the only hope for Belgium here. The accuracy not looking good, 93.5% basically, as Turkey still hold on to that dual FC for both Shinkuro and Orkai, hovering about 98%. MRB, that player that we were looking at, finding yet another miss here, as Vinny and 5 Joshi unable to provide the supporting combos for Hanori, as Turkey just keep on running away with his 360,000 and growing, as Orkai and Shinkuro are putting in numbers for their team. Hanori finally finding him as the last opportunity for Belgium to try and find something on their own pick. The dreams shattered as Orkai and Shinkuro crush that dream. Shinkuro does find a miss at the end, as Orkai looks to try and FC this map up until the very end.
Well, it's going to come in strong for Turkey, and their position as the higher-seeded team in this matchup is being solidified. They were definitely the favorite team, I believe, in this group in terms of just pick'ems overall as well as seeds, and they are going to continue proving why they are the favored team in this lineup, with the double FC coming out from Shinkiro and Orke, the two players that you would expect to do it. Spray not too far behind, and almost the same accuracy across the board for Turkey, that mid to high 100 count. Lots of slider breaks coming in for Liar there, but still a 500k plus score. Best score in the lobby on the side of Belgium, going to be Honori with the 620k. The B rank could be pretty impressive of a score if the accuracy was matching up a little bit, but who cares about AC if you're getting the combo? Still the best score on their team, but Belgium's going to need a little bit more against a team as strong as Turkey if they're going to want to maintain any semblance of control over this match as we advance to their next pick, and potentially a 3-0 for Turkey with a break point.
Yep, exactly. With that Nomad 3 being lost, the Folk War is lifted, and they can definitely go for something like Hidden 2. Obviously, Hidden 2 being a lot easier in comparison to the Nomad 3, which might give Belgium the edge, but Belgium did also play that Hidden 2 against Argentina last time, losing it against them, so definitely a good option for Turkey. If anything, Turkey can also go for precision that you've said prior. HR1 and HR2 also looking good for them. The mechanics are still open as well of that Fremont 2, but Fremont 2 being a relatively flow aimy map instead of being a speed one, so definitely something that Belgium can also play. Out of all these options, I'm looking mainly at Hidden 2 and maybe even partially Nomad 1, because Turkey, they do know the map, or they do know the song. It's a Turkish song, but instead we see HR1 being picked, which is going to be your Hard Rock Aim, as far as I recall.
Banger. It's banger time, baby. Hard Rock Aim. Oh, this is the pick for Turkey right here. An aim map in Turkey's favor is just so confident for them. Like, this is one of their best skill sets as a team. You know, despite just being a mechanically favored team, aim is such a star skill set for them. Raikaho, of all of the things that they are so confident in, it's aim, right? You know, that's sort of what Raikaho is pretty known for, is their ability to play this high star, high spacing, and, you know, the consistency does reign true, which is not something you get to say about a lot of these top players all the time, so this is great to see from them, that they're finding these strong points and continuing to pick through into it. I do give Belgium a hand on this map, though. They are pretty confident with the Hard Rock in particular, so this could go well for them compared to that Hard Rock 2. That might have been a little bit more difficult. They do have some proficient aim players. My eyes looking at players like Honori Hexy.
Exactly. Honori and Hexy should be the main cornerstone for Belgium for this pick, but still Turkey on paper should be looking good on this one. They do a lot better than Belgium on both the qualifier maps, especially HR1 and HR2. HR1 that time being a flow-oriented map, and HR2 being a aim precision one. But given the fact that this is also aim, I feel like Turkey should be a huge favorite for this HR1. 3 minutes and 35 seconds long, map by none other than Melon Boy, a crowd favorite when it comes to aim, and definitely a well-known mapper for those who enjoy that. But nonetheless, though, what do you think we are going to see from this HR1 chill here?
You know, it is really tough to say, because Belgium, they haven't looked as confident as a roster in this match thus far. Turkey has generally just had more depth across more of their players. With that being said, we haven't seen an aim map between the first two picks in here. There was aim in the Nomad 2, but it was really more of that fast, snappy slider aim that you get in between a lot of the higher BPM picks. So this is sort of the first raw aim pick that we're going to get to see in between some of the bursts, and I think this could potentially open up an entire other area of the pool for either Turkey or Belgium, depending on who wins this map. With that being said, Raikaho with basically a guaranteed FC on a pick like this, and how some of the other players have been playing on this Turkish roster right now, this is a smart in for them, despite the fact that Belgium is traditionally strong on this sort of pick.
Yep, traditionally Belgium are known for their hard rocks, especially with Hexy and Honori. They're two main players, but still, what are you going to do when you have Raikaho on the other team with the great support as well from both Shinkiro and Levy and Jianfol? All of these players are really comfortable in hard rock, especially Shinkiro and Levy. And with that being said, we are now starting off with this HR1, as it's looking quite good for Turkey already. Slight act drops from a few players, and a Levy finding an early miss. A huge chain miss as well, which does give Belgium an edge early on.
Very small one at that. That miss from Guillenfoyle is going to do a little bit more for them as well. These early breaks, not what you want to see from the side of Turkey. Doesn't make too much of a difference. 3 minutes and 35 seconds across the entire pick here, but any combo that you can put up early is going to be favorable for you. Joshi going to find the first miss for Belgium. Hanori going to over-aim one of those wide-angle triples, and there is going to be more of those. The thing that is concerning on the side of Turkey is that they're finding more breaks on these raw aim patterns rather than those wide angles, which are far less frequently distributed throughout this map than these quick snap slider aim patterns. So Hexy and Mornis going to be able to hold this one down against Raikaho and Shinkiro. About the same accuracy, a little bit lower on the side of Belgium. Those combos are going to start to take effect as Levy finds another break traded with Hanori, and Yoshi maintains that supporting combo. One more miss from a player on Turkey, and this does go back over to Belgium.
2 FCs against 2 on the second KI on the board. Now the spacing is higher. The awkward aim is in full shine, but still Turkey does retain the advantage due to that early accuracy. Foil though does find a miss. The recovery combo gone for Turkey as Belgium retains that combo from 5 Joshi, and it's slowly going to shift towards the right though as the time goes on. But still 2 FCs against 2 with Shinkiro and Raikaho still holding on to that godly accuracy, matched only by Hexy with 99.4% and Mornis's not so good accuracy of 96%, but still an FC. And with that being said, a slight bridge part here. Hexy does drop the full combo though. That's a huge one as Turkey still holds on to those 2 FCs, but Shinkiro might miss.
I think that was the last possible second Shinkiro could have found a miss to potentially save Belgium on this map. 26k, it was down to 10k, and it advanced by that slight score margin with that miss from Hexy, but Shinkiro trading it out almost immediately once again pushes this combo advantage onto the side of Belgium. Hanori and Yoshi have about a 200 combo lead each on Gin and Yevi, which means that it's just Raikaho, but Mortis wins the break, 95% and drops, and once again, the solo carry performance from Raikaho on the only full combo in the lobby is potentially going to be what saves Turkey from losing this pick. Even if Yevi and Gian both find misses, I don't know if Hanori and Yoshi are going to be enough to combat this full combo.
Exactly. Raikaho still holds on to the FC. Guillenfoyle does miss early on, but still Levy with a recovery. But look at Raikaho time and time again. The only maps that he has been so far, he has been putting out numbers. The Nomatsu SS, this one as well. He's just on fire, and he's looking to secure a second FC in a row for himself. The last KI on the roll, but still Raikaho remains uncontested. The only one close is going to be 5 Joshi with 1200 combo, but it just does not matter. Levy does find a miss though. The recovery gone, but it's a bit too late for them. 5 Joshi as well, finding a final miss, a final nail on the coffin as Raikaho FCs the map yet again.
Such a sad set of breaks for Belgium. That was totally their pick for the taking. A better team performance overall than Turkey, which is something we talk about, but that solo carry when you have an FC and no one to match is just too strong. Mornis with a singular break on that last slider section there. You've got to feel bad for Hanori too. That only break coming at the start of the map on that wide angle triple that he over-aimed, and it was a full combo right after that break until the end of the map. Yoshi, same thing, coming up very close, and Hexy right at the end as well. Really just a set of collapse for Belgium there, and not one player being able to maintain that FC means that they just have this unchecked million score that you can't do anything about. So even though that team performance was far better than Turkey's from Belgium across all 4 players, you need someone to be able to match that full combo from Raikaho, and that is the benefit of having one of the best players in the group stage, as you mentioned, on your roster available to you for mechanics.
Yep, from the qualifier results, Raikaho was about top 15 or top 14 for individual players for the entire qualification round, basically having to play almost every single map. And with that being said, a hidden one is being picked from Belgium. That is going to be your alternate techie and some rhythm control on top of that as well. Map by Mir, 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. This is going to be probably favored towards Belgium, as they did do good on the No Mod Free on the qualifiers. This map being relatively similar, but still quite far away due to that added tech element and with that slight rhythm control on the last third of the map. But still, I do like that pick from Belgium, and if anything, I think this map is the best chance they've got so far, and that's the only chance that they will have probably if they lose this one, because otherwise Turkey will have a match point.
This is, I think, going to be Belgium's best opportunity to slip something through here. This is a control-favored hidden pick in here. Alt style as well, a little bit of flow aim thrown into it. It's not too awkward despite having a more swing-styled rhythm. The swing element of this map is not something that is very forward in the way that it's been assembled, and although for Belgium, I do think a more swing-favored map would have been better for them, I do think it is gimmicky enough that it does put them into a comfortable territory against a roster like Turkey, where it is going to continue forcing them to change up their roster, and it does more so than forcing Turkey to change up their roster, put Belgium's comfortable group of players in for a map like this with the hidden skill set, as some of these players have been playing hidden tournaments for years, even specifically.
Exactly, and I think the roster is locked in for Turkey. Orca probably going to be joining in for Turkey to finish up the lineup, but still, I do agree that Belgium, they have been playing a lot of hidden-only tournaments, and this might be, once again, their best bet to try and stop the machine that is Turkey, the best seeded team in the group stage as well, so definitely a Goliath to try and take down. That Belgium have been doing a pretty good job so far, not being able to find the pick, but still being relatively close on a few maps, and if anything, you might have to show that you have a bite on this hidden one. Potentially could be your final pick, or it might just be the start of something else, the start of a comeback. But with that being said, we are starting off with this hidden one.
First hidden pick of this match. We saw Belgium do pretty well on the hidden 2 in their match against Argentina. Looking for maybe a little bit more success here, but they've got an entire Turkish roster standing in between them and getting a point on the board right now. And of all of the people to go up against on a hidden pick, I do have to say Orca is not one of the people that is high on my list of wanting to go against on a hidden pick. Definitely their #1 skill set and something that they have experienced in a World Cup environment alongside the rest of their teammates like Spray, who unfortunately found a little bit of an earlier break on the map they were in for previously, but they are very, very proficient in here as well. Yevi looking good. Just Geen Foil that's really struggling with the ACK early. Luckily, MRB right alongside them at that 94%. But it's going to be that 4-way FC once again. We saw this on Belgium's last pick, all the players holding the combo, and I imagine we're going to see that continue until this first Ki, when we start to get a little bit more awkward with this density. Maybe some of these double snaps going to start to throw people off. 1/3 catching off Geen Foil, the 1/6, I apologize, that first quick burst, and that's going to be the in that Belgium needs.
Exactly, but Papcho, does find a trait though, and this one is not something you want to see if you're rooting for Belgium, but still a slow section to try and give that slow edge towards Turkey due to their accuracy. Spray with 99.5%. We did see a lot of teams break on this slow part, and that's exactly what's happening. Spray and Levy both finding misses as Free FC is retained for Belgium. Orkai, the only one that was just a complete snipe from Turkey. All the combos gone in an instant as Belgium are taking it, and it's not even the hardest section yet. We're only transitioning into it this time, and Belgium, they need to hold for as long as possible. 200,000 advantage to try and retain, with Free FC still there. Hanori does find a miss though, only 2 now, and Levy once more another miss, but Orkai still standing. Hexy also falling. It's just MRB versus Orkai, but Orkai does drop though, and it's just MRB, that player that we talked about, the hidden specialist, doing numbers for Belgium to try and take their first point on the board against Turkey.
MRB, the player that we expected to do well on the hidden pick, but was maybe looking not so confident at the start of the map, sitting down at 93% accuracy, has made a miraculous recovery at the ending here. And Belgium, their hidden skill set, gonna hold true here. Yoshi and Hanori both putting up the combos into the ending as well. And there is just simply nothing that Turkey can do about this. And Belgium, they're gonna get their first point on the board, and they're gonna do it in freaking style, light, and 600,000 score in a lead for Belgium. And they made that map look not even possible for Turkey to get back into it. And their plan of knocking out the top end of this Turkish roster may potentially be paying off now if they can find at least one more map to do that. The question is, however, can they find the break points necessary in order to force this match to a tiebreaker point? They only need one, but that is asking a lot with the amount of mechanics maps that Turkey has available to them in this pool. Belgium is going to need to look elsewhere, and I'm I'm wondering if they're maybe going to slide over to the side of maybe picking something along the lines of a free mod 1, something that sort of keeps that flow tech style in line, or maybe they just go in for that hidden 2. Even with a strong Turkish reading roster, maybe they pick into their strengths in a map that they won in the previous match and just keep it in check.
They did lose it into against Argentina, but I think
did they?
Fremont won. Yeah, they
that.
did. They did lose that. They did win Nomad 3 though, but Fremont 1 seems like the best option for Belgium, but none of that for now, as it's going to be Turkey's turn to pick. And with the amount of mechanics, I'm looking at that HR2, I'm looking at that precision, the map that Raikaho should be feeling very comfortable on. Something like Fremont 2, I'm also looking at that. Even Fremont 3, also an A map, high BPM in that regard as well, is also really long and quite awkward too. But nonetheless, though, I feel like out of all of these options, HR2 does seem the most comfortable for Turkey, unless Belgium has a few hidden sleeves, has a few tricks hidden up in their sleeves.
This could be a big one here. Turkey gonna look to advance this match on in a necessary time here. It's gonna be the double time 3, which I'm gonna be honest, might actually be the most possible double time pick that Belgium could play in this pool. It's ulti. It is a little bit high AR, but it's got that flow aim aspect with the snap patterns on this higher BPM here. It is not 94, I will tell you that. It is doubled and then DT'd, so way up on that. But it's a complex map. It's wide angle, it's awkward alt. It really is not a skill set that a lot of players are very comfortable on. And Turkey very obviously leaning into the strong points of their star roster on this map. I just wonder if this does dig pretty far into Belgium's skill sets likewise.
Exactly. It's going to be, this map's going to be about 282 BPM with the double time applied. Also quite lengthy as well. 2 minutes long. And Turkey, obviously, I'm not really that sold on that pick. This is, as you've said prior, this is the map that Belgium can do really good on. But that being said, though, the qualifier results from the last TT3, obviously the last TT3 being a lot more flow heavy, does favor Turkey. So I can see some sort of vision when it comes to this pick in particular. But once again, Raikaho making an appearance for his team, looking to secure that third FC once again, or probably carry his team once more. That being said, though, can he retain the momentum? Can he still be on fire as he was for the last 2 maps that he was in? While Belgium, can they stop this man?
That's going to be the question right now, and it seems like nothing they've been able to do is gonna work at this current venture. High accuracy, full combos on every single map for them, and well, I'm certainly not gonna pick a double time 3 to be the first map where Raikaho falls down on this pick. They have the roster to back them up as well. Clutch, Shinky Row, and Spray, a great double time setup for Turkey on this map. Belgium, Mortis, Honori, Hexy, and Vinny, very understandable as a setup for their side. But again, it really is just the question of how are they going to work on this alt style, fast alt style DT map in here. It's not traditionally vanilla skill set at all. It's not aim, it's not streams. It is just so much control necessary on a pick like this. And it is going to also fall under the solo carryable set of maps, I believe, as well. If you got one player who can FC this map, that is just an instant win unless you are playing against a all-star DT team. And I wonder if Belgium's going to maybe be able to keep up with that if we see Raikaho putting up the performance they have been so far.
It might as well be still a slow start from this map, but early accuracy lead for Turkey here. Raikaho, the player that we will be looking at, but definitely a map that can be played by someone like Honori and Hexy, still putting a lot of work for their team for this entire match, having to play almost every single map. But with that being said, though, we first start off with those triangle patterns, looking good for Turkey. No misses so far from anyone, while the accuracy remains in advantage of the team on the left.
Honori to find a miss on the breakdown section here. I think missed one of the overlaps on those sliders. An unfortunate drop of combo in a section of the map that we really didn't expect to see any breaks on. Clutch, however, gonna miss that wide-angle fast snap pattern right after the refrain here, so it's actually not gonna give too much of an advantage to Turkey as we come into the next key eye coming up soon. These snaps and these overlaps are really what can catch players off guard as Spray now falls, and Belgium, despite an early break from Honori, is going to have a 1 full combo advantage. Clutch and Spray down on the lowest combos in the lobby. If we can see a recovery victory from Hinori here. They're going to pull this back pretty quick. Hexy does find a miss, but it's 2 FCs to 2 now. And Turkey, while they have an advantage, it's certainly not a big one. Any misses on these forward patterns here or these sliders with the ticks, it's just Clutch, but they need someone else to break on these big patterns. Another double miss, Clutch struggling.
Hinori and Hexy also finding a miss here, but Raikaho and Shinkiro, all eyes are on them, as well as Vinny and Mornis. A lot of work to be done, but still a quarter of the map left. Turkey does retain the advantage due to that accuracy on both Shinkiro and Raikaho, but that score lead is looking so fragile. One miss, and it's all gone in an instant. But still, Hinori finding yet another miss for Belgium. The recoveries are not there, and Mornis also finding a miss as Raikaho and Shinkiro are going to be running away with this. Shinkiro finds a miss. It's just Raikaho versus Vinny, but there is just not enough time. Vinny also dropping an FC, and Raikaho, look at that accuracy. Look at that combo. 3 maps he was in, and 3 maps in a row he finds an FC. Just who can stop him?
What do you do against this performance? We said it at the start of the map, and it does come through. How do you compete with a team that has a guaranteed full combo on every single map that their star player is in for in this group stage? Belgium, they did such a good job as an overall roster. They had 2 players at 1 million score, with the next 2 almost matching Clutch and Spray on that second half, but Shinkiro matching one of those top-end players on Belgium, and Raikaho, the only one to come through with the full combo and amazing accuracy to boot. And there is just nothing Belgium can do to squeeze their way into this match, even on skill sets that they're good at. Turkey just has the roster for everything, and that is the reason that they are the #1 pick in this group.
That is so tragic as well, because Belgium did so good on this DT3. 3.1 million score is definitely a score that should be quite surprisingly inspiring at some point or the other. But nonetheless, though, it's going to be Turkey's turn to pick. And this time, Belgium, they do not have any mistakes to make. Because if they do make one, they are going to be losing this match. In Turkey, they have a lot of options still left. Would they go for that No Mod 1, a Turkish song mapped by their fellow countrymen, or will they go for something more safe, something like Free Mod 2, or something like GT1, or just about anything, honestly? That is the question that is lingering on our minds, but we go with Free Mod 1 instead, a map that we previously thought that Belgium might be picking, but instead... Oh wait, never mind, that's Belgium's message, my bad.
That is Belgium's pick. So we did think they would pick it, and they did.
Exactly.
There we go. The vision does come through, and I do agree with this pick from Belgium. I do think the Hidden 2 would have potentially been a great pick for them, because even though Turkey's reading roster is strong, Belgium gave Argentina a run for their money on the Hidden 2, and I would say Argentina is probably one of the best reading rosters in this group overall. So, but this does make sense. It's flow aim, it's techy, it's snappy. It forces players onto a mod, at least 2 of them, which means that you've got 2 people who are sort of duking it out over the side with the hard Rock, especially Hidden. Doesn't make this map too much more difficult than it is on Nomad, but Hard Rock certainly does. And if you have a strong Hard Rock player on your roster, that does give you a pretty sizable advantage on a pick like this. Meanwhile, with a roster of strong tech players like Belgium has, this map does feed into their skill sets well, and it's flow favored, which just continues to push into their direction. So Turkey, once again, they're going to be good at all these maps, but Belgium really is just pulling up the strategy now of picking into their strengths rather than picking into Turkey's weaknesses, which is the best thing that they are possibly going to do in this current scenario. And I think for both teams, even though this works, it's the best shot Belgium has at continuing to try up some pull up some final picks on the board here. Funny enough, actually, I believe the match happening on the B stream also just picked the exact same map of Free Mod 1.
Yep, there's that. But nonetheless, though, this Free Mod 1 is a pretty good pick for Belgium. Quite similar to that Hidden 1 that they won tremendously with 600,000 difference. This one a lot more heavy on the tech element, though. But nonetheless, Raikaho will be making an appearance once more. And the question is, will he be playing with HR this time around? Or will he go for something safe for like no mod? That being said, though, a map is a really short 1 minute and 48 seconds long, so every single miss is gonna count, every single miss is gonna matter, and with that, the rosters seem to be locked in, as we are now going to be starting off with this Free Mod 1. What do you think? Will we see Raikaho on HR, or will we see him on no mod?
You know, that's always the question, right? Do you put your star player on the most difficult mod, or do you put them in on the mod that is potentially going to guarantee them a full combo? I think in the case of Turkey, they might keep Raikaho on the harder mod combination, because it does make a bigger difference overall, and it does look like they do. And the reason I'm thinking that they were going to put him on the Hard Rock is because, like I mentioned earlier, Hard Rock as a singular mod choice on this map is so much more difficult than any other combination. And if you're able to gain an advantage on that most difficult combo, it's going to mean more than just having another player on the no mod that could potentially find a slider break with some of these repeat bounce sliders on here. So I think this is a smart choice from Turkey to try and keep Raikaho and give them maybe that little bit of an extra score, at least over Hexy, who is going to be pretty proficient at this map on Hard Rock as well. We've seen a lot of Hard Rock players who are traditionally good at the mod struggle on this pick.
Exactly. They did play it last time against Argentina, as far as I recall, but nonetheless, the map starting off still a slow start, but nonetheless, the accuracies are looking quite good for both of these teams. The advantage shifting both left and right, but Turkey getting on that first Ki, and there we go. That's where the map starts. That's where the patterns go crazy. That's where the flow will be tested. No misses so far from any of the teams, but MRB, though, does find a miss. Oh.
I think they're just resetting for the no fails that weren't showing up. Yes, that is a client thing that does happen every once in a while.
That happens.
It does happen.
We are going to be back soon.
Looks like we are back in time, and a lot has happened since we disappeared, and it's Raikaho and Shinkiro bringing this one up big for Turkey right now. Yoshi with the only FC remaining on the side of Belgium, and that is unfortunately just not going to be enough. Now, we do have the hardest section of the map coming up, Light, and it is these two double patterns into the triple and the flow aim in this ending section that has given a lot of players trouble. And if we do see some combos coming out of the section from either side, we could see this change. It's Raikaho to find a break, but Belgium is going to need more than that, and unfortunately, with Yoshi finding the break, that was their saving grace, and Shinkiro on the hit, and this is exactly why Shinkiro is on this Turkish roster. The #1 score in the lobby, #1 score on their team. They are going to break in the ending, but that is going to be all she wrote. Turkey 5-1 over Belgium in great fashion on the free mod 1. They will win their first match in this group.
Nice try for Belgium there. They did put up a fight, especially on those last two maps, but nonetheless, Turkey doing oh so wonderful, but Raikaho being a star of this match in particular. But something to note here is that Shinkiro doing wonders on this hidden one, and also all of these players just consistently putting out good scores as Turkey are looking just magnificent throughout this entire match. But Belgium, better luck next time. They did show up, and they showed up well. Sadly, what can you do when Raikaho is on fire? And with that, Turkey, congratulations to them with their first victory, and better luck to Belgium on their last match that will be happening during the next weekend. And with that, we will be saying our goodbyes now. Casting this match for you was Lighting and Chill Your Pair, and we are going to be seeing you next time.